Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful day and everything is good with you. Welcome to another video. Today we're bringing you Blood and Guts. As you saw, it's pretty good in single target and also quite challenging over rotation, but once you get it down it's quite fun and there's so much room for improvement. I'm sure you can do more than 50k if you keep practicing, especially since I fucked up some optimization in the future, as you will see. But the main gist of the build, we're gonna get into it right now, is to have disembowel up on the target as much as possible and to press execute in order to proc the Blood and Guts talent, which, as you can see, in single target it is by far our #1 damage, followed up by execute hitting some 82k juicy crits, and then melee disembowel and a lot of, you know, irrelevant shite going on. So how do we achieve this damage? Let's take a look. I'm gonna go through all the talents, gonna explain the interactions, and then show you guys the rotation a little bit for your own enjoyment. First off, battle fatigue from the warrior. You guys all know this talent increases physical damage dealt by 10%, an absolute must combined with echoing warcry. It has really nice uptime. Titan's Fury, when you consume your rage, when you Titan Strike you consume all your rage, and with the talent Overwhelming Rage, where is it here, you get 500 rage, so you end up getting a buff for 20 seconds, which gives you 15% more physical damage dealt. Ready to Demolish, when you consume Demolish, which we proc with Hateful Strike or Mortal Strike. I'm not sure where it is right now. Anyways, when you consume it, after you consume it, your next exposed armor gives you 35% more armor penetration. The nice thing about this build is that it has over, I think most of the time, over 100% armor pen, so you can be pumping super hard regardless of how much armor the bosses have. Bathe in Blood, I picked it up to go with Favor of the Soul Flayer. I also picked up some dots, the 2 Rends and Deep Wounds. Maybe you don't even need the 2 Rends, but they give you some extra duration on Hunger for Blood. And combined with a different talent called Blades of Blood, you apply the Rends. Basically, when you eviscerate, based off of each bleed that you have on the target, you get a stack and your bleed to do more damage. You proc this Bathe in Blood stacks with Eviscerate, namely in our case Disembowel, which is an Eviscerate modifier. And then Favor of the Soul Flayer consumes these stacks, but the main reason you bring these 2 talents is because when you consume this with Favor of the Soul Flayer, for 15 seconds you get 20% more critical damage bonus. So this is a build that favors a lot of crit. I even have the wrong REs, and you can probably fit in some more crit if you can, and you will see the huge benefits popping off from additional crit damage. Gurubashi Berserker, as you're executing you get stacks, and that decreases the global cooldown, speeds up your rotation. Most of the abilities are warrior abilities besides Disembowel, which is anyways a rogue ability that has a short global cooldown, so you're going to be speeding up your rotation as the time goes on. Tools of War Martial Crescendo, you guys know the pair. Tools of War gives you 2% more physical per unique ability you got. We have enough abilities in this build to get up to 10, and when you're also getting the Tools of War stacks, you're getting the Martial Crescendo stacks, increasing your attack speed by up to 50%. Here, you also want to get a lot of attack speed because of Titan's Fury. While you have the buff up, each auto attack gives you a combo point. So you want to be generating a shit ton of combo points simply from your auto attacks and Wind Fury in order to dump as many disembowels and other finishing moves that we will see. Remorseless Execution. When you execute, which you will do all the time, you refresh your Slice and Dice and increase the crit chance of your next rogue ability. We don't really have a rogue ability, so that part is useless, but the refresh of the Slice and Dice is super nice as we have it up permanently. Blades of Blood, we talked about it. Whirlwind applies Rends for Hunger for Blood and for Bathe in Blood. A Quick Death, as you execute you get up to 15% more haste, self-explanatory. Deadly Combo, when you execute, your finishing moves give you sudden death, so you're allowed to use execute, and also that execute does 30% more damage. So it is super nice in order to ensure that after every single finisher, basically after every single disembowel, with 5 combo points, you're guaranteed an execute. Super nice. Whirl of Rage. Whirlwind gives you Blood Rage. Very simple. It allows you to proc the Enrage talent, which gives you 10% physical damage and another 5% with an epic. We shall see in a moment. Echoing Warcry works with the Warcry legendary from above. Blood and Guts is the main ability. Executing a disemboweled target deals damage. A lot of damage. As you can see, a lot of damage. It hits for an average of 63, it hits for max 63k and on average of 35k. So pretty strong. Crushing Impact and Crushing Charge. When you battle charge, you make the target take 10% more damage from warrior abilities. Execute is a warrior ability, and Blood and Guts, you can see, uses execute modifier, so it will scale up from this as well. And the other one reduces the cooldown of charge, so you can charge more often. Amaltazad's Curse, 5% crit, very straightforward. Demolisher, when you Mortal Strike you get Demolish, and once you consume the buff, using Ready to Demolish, using Exposed Armor gives you 35% more armor penetration, which allows you to reach 100% and even more armor pen. Outrage, your Enrage talent we spoke about before, gives you 5% more damage. Master of Arms, as you execute, you get these Master of Arms stacks, and when you Mortal Strike, you consume and you get 10% of your strength as armor pen rating. Works around to 9 to 15% armor pen, depending how much strength you have. Draconic Might, when you charge, you do 5% more physical damage. Because of Battle Charge being procced all the time, macroed in, you're also keeping up this all the time. Zephyr increases your chance to proc Wind Fury and increases your melee haste, so it's very nice to ensure that you're getting many melee attacks. Here you can see we got 235 melee attacks and another 420 offhand attacks. So it is allowing us to generate a lot more combo points and dump them into Disembowel and further into Execute. Onslaught, using Colossus Smash gives you 3 charges of sudden death, so you can use Execute 3 times in a row. This is super nice to build up some juicy burst windows in the case that you have Hunger for Blood coming up with 20% extra critical damage bonus and 10% more physical damage. You want to ensure that you build up to 5 combo points. You use either Warbreaker or Colossus Smash. Warbreaker is a Colossus Smash modifier, and after using it you use Disembowel and you execute 3 times for a lot of Blood and Guts damage. Do the Stance. Battle Stance doubles the armor penetration, so instead of 10% armor pen, it gives you 20% armor pen. This is kind of it. One nice thing I added in was Mace specialization. You can use Disembowel, even though it requires daggers, it only requires a dagger in the main hand. So as you can see, I have a dagger in the main hand and the mace in the offhand. Then if I have this mace in the offhand, I get 10% more armor pen and 15% more attack speed. So it is a huge value talent. Let me see if there's anything else interesting going on. No, this is it basically. You can figure out the talents, the rest of the talents from the sheet. And now let's talk a bit about the abilities. Blink, Battle Shout for rage generation and for a self buff. The Demon for the best demon. Charge. Eviscerate you actually don't need because Disembowel is an Eviscerate modifier, so this is useless. Rend and Hydra's Venom increase the duration of Hunger for Blood. You can also add in Hellscream there if you want. Titanic Strike to proc the Titanic Strike buff. Blade Flurry is good, especially with this Combat Potency talent, because you upkeep your energy, even though you don't really need energy, but because you have really fast auto attacks, it reduces the cooldown of Blade Flurry by an absolute shit ton. So it's a very good shout. Rampage, 5% crit. Warcry for the Warcry talents. Cleave just to fill up your damage, make sure you're doing some extra damage passively. Aspect of the Beast, 5% attack power. Death Wish, I actually forgot to use it in the video, but it's probably a drop if you want to bring more utility. Let's see, Battle Stance, okay, obvious. Divine Protection, just a defensive. Wind Fury weapon, I went the Wind Fury route because you just get way more auto attacks and way more combo point generation, so absolutely worth it. Hunger for Blood, self-explanatory for the talents. Whirlwind to proc and rage using the Whirl of Rage talent. Execute, the main bread and butter of the build. Raging Blow is there just to give us an extra Tools of War stack. Not really necessary, you can replace it with a different ability if you have better ideas. Pommel for a kick. Battle Charge for the talent interaction. Hateful Strike or Mortal Strike, even though preferably Hateful Strike because it gives you this Seething Growth buff, so passive strength buff, to proc the Mortal Strike interactions. Slice and Dice, super duper attack speed, expose armor for the 35% armor pen. Disembowel, super obvious. The 2 Colossus smashes, super obvious as well. And Piercing Cleaver is very nice because it increases the damage of your next execute and also counts as a unique Tools of War ability. And also in AoE, it spreads the execute extra damage taken buff, so you can benefit as your Blood and Guts hits in AoE as well. You can see here it hits up to 5 nearby enemies. This is kind of the setup of the build. It's pretty straightforward. Basically, you take all the warrior rotation and add in Blood and Guts and focus fully on execute. It is not that crazy. And for the gear, I'm still running the same set as my warrior with the mental quickness 5 out of 5 talent. For the main hand, I'm using a physical dagger, not a spell power dagger. This is just the dagger that gave me the most top end from what I had. There could be better ones, but it is decent. And also the wound, the chance on hit once the target counts as another bleed for your hunger for blood. So that is something that is also super nice. The mace for the offhand, I'm using the strength spell power mace for scaling and also for the enabling the mace specialization tactics. Hand of Justice as well, simply to get more auto attacks and therefore more combo points. For the REs, 2% crit, 3% armor penetration and 6% attack speed, so these are huge value REs. 3 times Serrated Blades for 6% more armor penetration. 1 Anger Management RE to keep up your rage when you're moving around. Here I'm using Demonic Execute, even though it's probably way better to use Draconic Execute since you have crit damage modifier, so you really want to get to 100% crit, ideally, if you can. So this is for sure replaced with the Draconic ones instead of the Demonic. Improved Execute, absolutely necessary, increases the damage of Execute, therefore increases the damage of Blood and Guts. And 1% damage. Let's take a look at the single target rotation and walk you guys through it. So I charge in, I proc Titan's Fury using Titanic Strike is the first thing I do. Then I proc Enrage using Whirlwind. As I get to max combo points, I use Slice and Dice. And here I try to apply my Mortal Strike debuff and consume it, but it was not fast enough, so those were wasted combo points. I try again and I successfully consume it, which applies Ready to Demolish, 35% armor pen. My Enrage is falling off, I should probably refresh Enrage. There we go. And now we have all our buffs up. This is what you want to be monitoring. You want to make sure you have 35% armor pen, Enrage, 15% damage, Titan's Fury 15% damage, and Slice and Dice will be kept up by itself indefinitely just by using Execute. And at this point we're using Disembowel and pressing Execute. And at this point it's just a game of keeping up your buffs, making sure they don't drop. They're already proc Demolisher to reapply Ready to Demolish when possible. And whenever you're not sure what to do, you ideally just want to dump a a Disembowel and then smash the shit out of Execute. Repeating this over and over and over again and doing it successfully, you can see the damage keeps climbing up, and with the Guru Zerker, the classic warrior stuff, you can see we're getting up to 53k, 54k, and I think I hold it steady at around 50k. There we go, it's 54k over here for the rest of the fight. The rotation itself is really reactive and there's a lot of shit to keep up, so it's pretty rough, but I am quite certain that it's doable by good players such as yourself. For AoE guys, it is literally the same rotation except you want to be prioritizing Piercing Cleaver, and I won't even show you a video because it is that simple. I will let you discover it on your own. Thank you for the short video today, boys. I hope you enjoyed the fast Blood and Guts build. It's a fun one, it's decent, just another warrior variant. You can see the warrior variants are popping off quite well, especially when you're getting all your buffs up and holding them up. Thank you for watching, and as usual, stay tuned for more guides soon.